we come from a very different view, I think, from the other speakers. We're a business that works in renewable energy. So we're setting up wind and solar projects across the Asian region. We're part of the Macquarie Group, part of one of their managed funds. Some of you may know the Macquarie Group is a financial investor who's been investing in different types of green initiatives for over 20 years in different sectors. Starting with renewable energy when it first started, which continues into energy, into EVs, into green transportation, into green hydrogen, basically everything under the sun which is green and related. Macquarie has a position that they have supported it with over the last 20 odd years. Currently, Macquarie Green Investment has about 35 plus companies, again, working in different kinds of green sectors or, climate change focused or abatement sectors. We are part of, as I said, a portfolio company under one of their funds, and we focus on building renewable energy projects across Asia. We have about a little more than a gigawatt peak, which is under construction, just about to get operational, and a large pipeline of about 8 gigawatt projects that are in different stages of development, and about 3 gigawatts of storage projects, battery storage projects, which are coming up again across Asia. Main markets where we operate is in India, one of the largest markets, in Taiwan, and in Japan, and also in Malaysia. So when I was over the last few years, where we've been following this conversation, at least now there is absolute recognition that climate change is real. I don't think anybody can deny it. There was a phase when I was much younger where there was a certain level of denial that existed in the world. Currently, we are seeing the effects of climate change in our everyday lives, especially in India. Just in the last two or 3 months, there have been these extreme weather events. The cyclone in Sri Lanka, there was a drought in Somalia. The pollution levels in Delhi reached peaks, unprecedented peaks in October. There were wildfires unlike anything seen before in the US. There were torrential rains across India, Himachal, Uttarakhand, with massive damage, economy, lives, also the environment altogether. So at least that is no longer a question, and that's it's very relevant for anybody planning to live in the world for a period beyond 20, 30, 50 years. For us to sustain life as humans here, it becomes relevant what actions we take today. And the interesting thing about the actions that we can take today, the argument has often been is that economic growth has to be sacrificed for protecting the environment or for sustainability initiatives. And I believe that's no longer true. While governments are building policies like the speakers before me kind of reflected on for several years, there have been different kinds of policies that have been coming up through different dialogues and different planning perspectives. But now this has become very achievable for everyday people taking action on ground towards abatement of climate change. And an interesting thought that came to me when I was thinking about this discussion is that climate action is a marathon. It is not just a biennial negotiation. And the question is for each of us, how are we running it? It cannot be left to a few weeks over a couple of years to discuss this issue, because it's very urgent and very imperative for all of us, for our survival, that it be discussed and solutions be implemented, not just created anymore, because there are a lot of solutions that are already in existence now. It's just a matter of scaling them and making them more everyday than they have been in the past. So energy transition, what does it mean? It means, supplementing the traditional sources of energy like thermal plants or coal plants come to mind, or gas plants that come to mind, with renewable sources of energy, which is, wind, solar, supported by storage so that the grid stability can be maintained. Replacing transportation where fuel intensive modes have been in use for several 100 years now, to replace them with energy efficient or energy mutated transportation modes. And then there are many other industrial applications. For example, conversion to green hydrogen, using green hydrogen in industries, using heating, which is more um energy energy sound, and then implementing various measures of circular economy, which is that you recycle, you manufacture with that mindset that you minimize wastage, and then you ensure that your entire supply chain is functioning in a sustainable manner. And then whatever is the remaining waste out of what you've produced goes back recycled, so as to minimize overall waste, which, as we all know, is a big problem, and is creating a lot of damage to our environment. So who drives these changes? I think the speakers before me have very aptly, indicated that it's the individuals. So people have to adopt these practices in their habits, in their nature. And once that happens, it will automatically start feeding into the communities where they work, where they are making decisions and creating opportunities for businesses to thrive, for different societal decisions to be made. If individuals in those decision making positions start demanding that things have to change and become more nature sensitive, then those changes will start occurring in the communities that we live in, and also in the businesses where we operate. And the interesting part of this this entire concept is that it's no longer um, expensive or prohibitive to take on these practices. In fact, in most cases, this actually saves costs, which is what Rajiv ji was talking about earlier. It saves costs. It's more sustainable in the long term. There's more money to be made. It's just that the attitude and the habit of recognizing and realizing what those solutions can be, and implementing them at scale, that requires a little bit of change in communities and corporations, which is what needs to be affected by individual action. Um, so I think in India, we've actually done really well. In this last 9 months, the first 9 months of 2025, we implemented, or we installed about 30 gigawatt of solar capacity in just 1 year, and about 5 gigawatt of wind capacity. And currently we stand up at about 250 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity, wherein the peak demand that we have to 2030 is about 300 gigawatts. So we're climbing really fast towards really transforming our grid to becoming more and more renewable focused. And that creates challenges. But along with those challenges, there are solutions being created as well. So, for example, one of the known challenges is that when you have so much renewable energy, because it is less predictable, there is a chance that you can destabilize the grid. So now there are solutions like what Eric Solem spoke about, which was the hydro project, the pumped storage hydro project. Similarly, we now have battery energy storage, which is even more responsive. So it can actually even within minutes deal with the grid instability, and will then support renewable energy becoming more real solution for um, as a power alternative to the power source in India. And overall, in the first half of 2025, about $12 billion of clean energy investments were done. And so just to imagine the scale at which investments are being done. In fact, in my function, I'm talking to banks very regularly, Indian banks very regularly, and renewable energy is one of the most investable in projects, long-term projects, infra projects that banks look at when they're financing when they're making new financing decisions. So I think everything is really green for green energy right now, and that creates a lot of opportunities for the folks who are here, who are looking for career paths in renewable energy. There are positions that one can take up in investments in finance, wherein you drive decisions both on the equity side and on the debt side towards making green energy, scaling green energy solutions in all aspects of um, renewable energy or energy efficiency in different businesses. There are roles for engineers, of course, in when you're scaling or developing solutions. Engineers are extremely important to make the right designs, to develop the right procurement strategies, and also finally to execute these projects on the ground, because these are not paper projects; these are real projects that are coming up. And finally, policy and community managers to build the right kind of community awareness so that there is no fear in change. Because normally, when there's a change that comes in any community, there's a fear that comes along with it of the unknown, of what will happen when this new technology or a new solution is implemented. How will my life get impacted as an individual? Are my rights being protected by these decisions? So, just like investment managers and engineers, it's also important for policy and community managers to integrate these businesses or allow these businesses to grow in a manner that allows the communities to accept them and really make them their own. Hold them with pride and develop them even more. So I think that's my few words for the group today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. But we have one question for you. Blue Leaf is engaged very actively with communities. What are the learnings for the counterparts?
So, I mean, I think everybody in our business is very engaged with the communities, because this, for us, setting up, wind and solar projects, we're setting them up in rural areas where the people that we interact with, because these are land intensive projects, the people that we interact with are not very well educated about what these technologies are and what implications it could have. Um, so in our view, community engagement is one of the most critical elements of project success, because that is what drives eventually the community coming along, working along with you, designing solutions that actually help them as well as the project, so that there is no conflict created when you're executing projects of this kind. And I think that's our focus as a business. And There are also other developers in India. There are quite a few, like I said, 30 gigawatts, 35 gigawatts that came up last year. And I believe that all of our counterparts are also just as socially and sustainably focused. And just because of the industry that we're in, which is designed for protecting the environment and building on that, I think as an industry we're very sustainability focused.